are back on the Undisputed GOAT podcast with the big three, Flash, BRF, and myself, man. Shout out to Columbus, Georgia. We reporting live. Y'all know what it is, man. Shout out to everybody, E-Dub, Southside, Uptown. Y'all know what it is down there. Love my city to life, man. But, hey, let's get right into it, man. How y'all doing today?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain. Life is good as good. I'm on the right side of the dirt, so I'll just put it that way.
Hey,
I got no complaints my way either, man. Just taking it one day at a time, working hard, living good. Can't complain here.
Hey, in the great words of the late great John Gotti, every day above ground is a good day. But man, look, I just gotta ask y'all this, man. Look, man. It's in the heat of the summer, man. How the temperature is, man. BRF, you down here with me down here in Georgia, so you know it's steaming down here, man. How the weather up there where you at, Flash?
It's actually great now. It's finally cooled off now. And that's my dog, sorry. It's finally cooled off now. It's gorgeous today. Sunny, 70s, no humidity. So it's finally started to cool off now. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous all week until I think, or it's been gorgeous pretty much all week, and it's going to rain a little bit this weekend, but so far the weather's all right.
All right, BRF, how's it up there?
Man, we got, Lord, it was like raining on and off, like I say from about 2:00 to still like now, and then we got and then I think there might as well say we got a threat of rain pretty much. Through next Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah. So and just I'm telling you, man, and all in this heat, just you know how the Georgia heat is when it comes to this humidity and this rain. The heat it don't help.
No,
it's hot. It's hot for a week, and then it rains next. Like it's like it sets it up. So this weather. It has its pretty moments, but when it's been ugly, it's been ugly. So yeah, it's pretty much been rainy my way here today.
Hey man, the weather is always crazy, man. I cannot wait till the season, man. Hey, the season's all about to change. We only got 2 more months to the fall. We got 2 more weeks until that pigskin kicks off, man. You know me, I'm a huge football fan. Rise up Atlanta. You know I cannot wait, man, until that first preseason game kicks off. But we have another event this coming weekend by the name of the Wnba All-Star Weekend, man. And I'm not gonna lie, this segment was originally supposed to be about the things we're most looking forward to, but it's time to admit this, and let's try to address the elephant in the room at this point in time. It's kind of lost its luster this weekend, other than the All-Star game itself when the Olympic national team faced the WNBA All-Stars with Cheryl Reeves and Cheryl Miller, one of the greatest WNBA basketball players of all time. One of the greatest women's basketball players of all time coaching at this point. It's kind of lost its luster because Caitlin Clark nor Angel Reese nor the big-time rookies that are the faces of the league are competing in the skills challenge. And Sabrina Oreskin and Caitlin Clark is no longer competing in the three-point contest. They declined the invitation. So the things that we were looking forward to has kind of lost its luster. And the thing that I was most looking forward to is Caitlin Clark facing off against Sabrina. You know, as you know, she faced off against Steph Curry and ended up beating Steph Curry in the three-point contest. So it's kind of lost this luster a little bit. And the only thing I can say that I'm looking forward to is seeing the Olympians who are going into the Olympic break and representing the United States of America. They're going to be facing the WNBA All-Stars. But there has to be at least one thing that we're looking forward to. And for me, it's seeing Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark play. I cannot wait to see Caitlin Clark throw some dimes down in the paint to Angel Reese. I cannot wait to see that. I won't say we, because we call it like it is. We call talent, and we are pretty much impartial when it comes to their talents. But you know how the media is, and you know how a lot of fan bases do. They try to put them against each other when it's really supposed to be them uplifting this league, sort of like how Bird and Magic did when the league was dying. So the thing is, I'm looking forward to Caitlin Clark throwing some dimes to Angel Reese. I'm looking forward to Angel Reese potentially passing the ball to Caitlin Clark and them playing together and embracing the idea of them playing with each other. That's the thing that I am looking most forward to. We saw Bird and Magic play together on the Olympics, not once, but twice. We saw Michael Jordan, Magic, and Bird, and a lot of great players play on the Olympic team, not once, but twice. But to see them play together, we never got to see that a lot in the All-Star game. And to see them play with each other, to face off against Asia Wilson and guys like that, that is going to be very, very special to see the future, because mostly it's the rookies that are on the All-Star team, to see the future versus the present. And to see that's not going to be anything short of amazing at this point in time, man. That's what I'm most looking forward to. But Flash, what says you, bro?
I was looking for. I am looking forward to see Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese play together. But I'm like you. Why did Caitlin Clark turn down the skills challenge? Like that's confusing to me. I like, you need your biggest stars in these skill challenges. This kind of goes back to when LeBron is like refused over for years to be in the dunk contest. It's just a bad look. Like that, you want your best players and the best players at those skills in those skills contests. And the fact that she declined it, and now it's like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about the 3-point contest because I know like the best aren't in it. So this kind of goes into the next into one of the segments we're going to do tonight. But I really feel like the WNBA is really fumbling the bag when it comes to like setting up themselves for success and getting eyeballs on their product. And now it's not just the WNBA as an entity. Now it's their players that are doing it now too. And I'm looking forward to the game, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching it. But like, I like the skills challenges. Like, the games don't matter to me anymore. Now, maybe I'm kind of jaded when it comes to All-Star games now because men's sports All-Star games are trash now.
Dirt.
They're just garbage. They're not even worth. They're not worth tuning into. It's a waste of your time. You can find it's better to do the dishes or laundry. And so maybe this All-Star game will be different because it's the women and it'll be a little bit more competitive, but I doubt it. So I'm kind of just like, well, if the best aren't in the skills challenge,
You know what? BRF, before I let you go real quick, I think the reason why Caitlin Clark did not opt in for the 3-point contest or the skill challenge, I think she's burnt the hell out. I think she's burnt out. And I think this Olympic/All-Star break is going to be just the thing she needs to recharge her batteries. As we all know, they didn't get a lot of practice time at the beginning of the season together. That's why it took this team so long to gel. And if you really want to be honest with you, they have been working the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. They have been the most played teams in prime time. They have been the most played and televised. So she probably declined those invitations because she's so burned out. And I think Sabrina Reskin, I think she is playing in the Olympics as well. So I think those two players are burned out at this point in time. They're seriously burned out. The Indiana Fever there was a point that the Indiana Fever played almost 10 consecutive days. So the thing is, I think that she declined it because she's so burnt out. Not to mention all of the damn pressure that has been on her back from day one. People can hate all they want to. People can say whatever they want to. But that pressure mounted on her back to carry the league into the stratosphere, that pressure has been there from day one. And I think she's just burned out. She's like, look, man, I'm tired. I am tired. I've been carrying this league on my back. My team has been playing damn near every other day for the past 2 months. The Olympic break is coming up. I need to recharge my batteries. And I think that's one of the reasons why she said, you know what? as much as I want to be a part of the All-Star game and everybody, and it's going to be great for the league, I cannot burn myself out, and I cannot risk it at this point in time. That's the reason why I said that. But BRS, what says you, bro?
Honestly, I've really just been looking forward to the game. I mean, I guess just from a standpoint of, with the, the Olympic team and then the controversy as far as like them not putting Caitlin Clark on the team and all this stuff. So it's like seeing the WNBA All-Stars with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and other really, really great players on that squad to go up against the Olympic team is almost kind of like a measuring stick kind of game, kind of seeing where you're at, as far as your talent level goes, because the WNBA All-Star team is still a really good, like, stacked roster. But, you're looking at that Olympic team, and it's like you look at it top to bottom, you understand why they were picked to go to the Olympics. So to see them going at it is going to be fun. And I feel like the best thing, I don't know, it's kind of like the WNBA is kind of putting themselves in a situation here with this game, because it's like, I don't want to say damned if you do, damned if you don't, but it's like, what happens if the WNBA All-Stars win this game and it's a competitive game and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the biggest reasons why they win? Like, what happened? Like, what happens? Like, especially if it turns into a competitive game where they're going at it. What if those two carry the WNBA All-Stars to a win? Like, can you imagine the floodgates that could potentially be opened up as far as, like, if we're talking about, are they fumbling the bag with this rivalry? What happens if they win this game? I feel like you have to, like, because I'm still on board of Aja Wilson was the right pick for that game cover. But I feel like you have to really you have to go in at this point. If it's a really good All-Star game and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the reason they win, you got to go in at this point. Like, they should have commercials in the clip ready to go if they win this game. Now, do I still feel like the Olympic team as a whole, when you look at the roster, should they still win this game? Probably so. Because you're looking at, like, you look at the collection of talent that was picked to go to the Olympics. I still feel like, it's well versed, it's all around, it's experience. They have it all, and they should. And when it boils down to it, if this gets competitive, like third, fourth quarter, you would think the team with their experience will know how to carry it through and close them out and win this game. But there's just so many factors going into this. So I feel like I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this game because this is probably the most important All-Star game in the history of this league. In terms of what it could mean impact-wise, especially if the WNBA All-Stars win this game, like I said, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese both pop off. The one thing I know I'm probably going to hear that I really don't want to hear are those toxic fans that are gonna be like, "See, I told you should have put her on the squad." Da da da. I'm like, we don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear them anyway. So I don't know.
Well,
that's where it's kind of like, man, the WNBA kind of put themselves in it's almost like stuck between a rock and a hard place, because it's like, because like I said, what happens if the WNBA All-Stars beat the Olympic team this game? And Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the reason why. It's where do we go?
As much as you don't want to hear the toxic fans when it comes to that, I think that's a great story. I think if Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark pop off, and Caitlin Clark has been on, like, is starting to heat up, and if she just goes,
she on fire.
You're saying, like, she's just keep going. She's just on fire. If she goes into this All-Star game and she smokes them and just goes basically like Iowa Caitlin Clark, I think it creates a great conversation. Like, why didn't you put her on the Olympic team at that point, or whatever? Or if it's Angel, whoever, both of them. I just, I think it creates an interesting thing. Again, going back to the marketing thing, like you said, having commercials like right there, ready to go. Like if that happens, man, where are the McDonald's commercial? Like I want to see it. Like they need to. They keep getting these opportunities to market this league and these girls, and it's just like I'm sitting there going like, you know, I need to see these guys, or like I need to see these girls on TV. I should be getting sick of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese's face. I should be seeing that much of them.
Yeah, and that goes into that. That goes into the next segment. Are they fumbling the bag at this point? Hey, I have to say this. I believe to a certain extent they are, but this is newfound territory for them. This is newfound territory, and when you have newfound territory, you're basically trying to figure out the way to navigate those things. These are new stars. You don't want to burn them out. You don't want to have them. You don't want to have them sitting around here worried about a lot of crazy things. You don't want to burn them out, and you don't want to be overutilizing them. And you have to think about this. This Olympic break is probably the break that they're going to need in order to kind of unwind. They haven't had a break. These rookies that have just came into the league, they have not had a break since the Final Four in college. Caitlin Clark hasn't had a break since that time.
No.
So I understand them not wanting to overutilize them, and they're in uncharted territory as far as what it means to utilize your stars. But you have to do something out of that same mouth. You have to. Whether it's a McDonald's commercial, whether it's a Wendy's commercial, whether it's a Subway commercial, whether it's whether it's Cinnabons cookies, you have to do something. Because the thing is this. You just signed a $2.5 billion deal for the next 11 years for the WNBA.
Yeah.
And you just partnered with New Balance for a multi-year deal. Cameron Brink is the face of that. It's time to start getting your ducks in a row. This is just the first year. So I can understand your lack of marketing for this first year. You're trying to see where everything is going to fall. You're trying to see how these ticket sales are going to do. You're trying to see exactly, is this something that's going to last, or this is just a honeymoon phase for the WNBA? You're trying to see that. You're trying to fill it out before you start going boom, 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 boom. So I understand the logic behind it. But at the same time, you have to market your stars. As we saw, you have to market your stars, all of them. As we saw, Cameron Brink was on Flunk Magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. A'ja Wilson, the greatest player in the league right about now, arguably the greatest of all time. She was on the cover of CoverGirl. She did a photo shoot for CoverGirl. We need to be seeing Angel Reese and guys like that. I mean, I'm talking about the WNBA. Y'all need to come to the forefront and say, hey, we need this, this, and this. And we need to put these stars out on TV, not just during the season. On Monday Night Football next month, in a couple more weeks, while the WNBA playoffs are occurring, we need to be seeing commercials, because there's no bigger audience that you're going to find than during football season.
Yeah. Yep.
So you need to start getting your ducks in a row. I understand this is a fill-out period. This is the first round of a boxing match. This is the first round of a boxing match.
I kind of agree with you in that aspect. That is okay. It's the feeling out period and yada yada yada. But like the whole Caitlin part being burnt out. But I'm sorry, but it's not like these, whether it be NBA players or WNBA players, stop playing basketball in the offseason. This is all they do. And I feel like like you don't get me wrong, like to me it was crazy the fact that like they went from the college season like directly right into the pro season basically like a week and a half later. Like it was insane. Like that part's insane. But I just, there's just you only get so many chances, and I just feel like that they're not hyping this stuff up enough. Like I just, something. Maybe they're starting to get their ducks in a row. Like they did get the TV the TV deal, the Cameron Brink New Balance deal. So maybe those things are starting to like come about, and maybe we're being, to play a little devil's advocate, maybe we're being a little too harsh because these girls haven't had a break since college. It's just been like, NCAA tournament, draft, blip, we're on the team, and we don't get practice time and whatever. So maybe we are being a little too harsh in that aspect. I just feel like I'm missing something. Like there's something, like this is just weird. So maybe you're right, Champ. Maybe they're saving their big blowout commercials for football season, because that's the eyeballs right there. So maybe you're right.
And not only that, before I let you go, BRF, my fault, man. Not only that, you got to think about this. The Olympics are coming. You're going to see, they may be saving it for the Olympics because you're going to have a big, huge audience there too. So I understand the logic of them kind of fumbling the bag in certain areas. We don't see McDonald's commercial. And another thing I don't think a lot of people know, and people say, well, why we didn't see Nike commercial? Angel Reese, she signed with Reebok. That's why we're not seeing a lot of Nike commercial. But and everybody knows that, she, LSU alumnus Shaquille O'Neal signed her to a big time Reebok deal. And she's showcasing it damn near every single game. So I have to say this, man. I think they're trying to save it for the Olympics. I'm thinking they're gonna I won't be surprised if I seen a lot of commercials and everything like that. But I'm of the mindset of this. You have to when we're on here talking, we tell stories. We tell stories, and you got to be able to see the story. In my humble opinion, when Angel Reese faced off against Asia Wilson, who plays her same position in the paint, I believe that should have been big time advertisement.
Yeah.
I believe that once Caitlin Clark played Asia Wilson, that should have been on top of the charts.
Yep.
That should have been built up. Remember how Bob Costas used to tell the story on NBC every single game? That's how they should have told the story. It should have been a build up on First Take all the way up, and Undisputed, which I don't know if that show's going to be around too much long. It should have been build up shows on that for days to come. How do you think Asia Wilson is going to do against Caitlin Clark? Hey, can she match wits with this person? How do you think Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are going to do in the future? It should have been that much build up. And I'm not going to lie, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like we, the fans, are telling the damn story better than sports media is. It seems like we're telling the damn story better than they is. Hey, you can attest to this. When Asia Wilson and Angel Reese came out, we was one of the first guys with stories on our TikTok pages about it.
Yeah.
We didn't see it on First Take. So I think not only the WNBA is dropping the ball, I think to a certain extent, because these media networks want to paint certain narrative, they're dropping the ball as well. Like, this game should be built up high. We don't see this in the NBA. We don't see the All-Stars versus the Olympians. We don't see it. So the thing is, they should have built this game up to a T. Every game that played should tell a story. Even when somebody has a bad game, it should tell a story. And especially last night after Caitlin Clark damn near threw 20 dimes last night, that should have been must-see. That should have been all over the place. So that's just my thing. They have to do, not only the network, not only the WNBA has to do a better job, but the networks, they have to do a better job of selling it. guess what? You sell the NBA every single day, but the ratings are down to an all-time low. You sell baseball, but yet, hey, the NC2A Final Four had more viewers than they did. So I don't think
that's the thing. Like, yeah. I never thought in my life I would ever be, and I never thought in my life I'd actually be talking about the WNBA on any sports podcast ever, unless it was making a joke of, and unless it was literally making a joke about it. And now we're here, and we have a segment basically every week about it, and the viewership is up, and it's like.
Hey, it goes up every single week.
Do a deal. You should be doing McDonald's things where you have. You could do things like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark freaking Happy Meal with 2 little figures or something. Like, you can do it. Like, why am I the one thinking of these ideas? I'm an idiot. Like, it would be so cool if they did it. Okay, McDonald's or whoever, Sprite. Whatever.
Yeah, and do a Surge commercial, it'll be
something. And just had all the players that were talking, all the veterans that were talking mad trash before they walked into the league, and they're sitting there playing a pickup game, and you could do it at like one of the parks.
Rucker Park.
Yes, do it like Rucker Park. And have all the veterans just like playing a pickup game, and all the rookies just walk in and do it in black and white. Just have some like really great music behind it, and not a word needs to be said at all. And why aren't you doing that? Like, that would I should be getting goosebumps. Give me goosebumps.
Yeah,
I'm not getting any goosebumps.
Yeah, BRF, what says you, man?
Well, we won't get any goosebumps if neither one of them make the playoffs. So I feel like
true.
I get it. I get it from a certain standpoint, because I've said this before. Y'all are kind of reiterating the point I made a while back. I think they're kind of letting this marinate a little bit, and I understand, because if we do all this and we're like, we got to get them here, okay. And I've said, okay, man, what would they do if they both make the playoffs? Like the frenzy that we could have on our hands. Okay, what if they don't? What if neither one of them make it? I mean, you could still advertise them, but can you really get the full impact if neither one makes the playoffs? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's kind of like I think the blowout, the frenzy could really go down. Like I said in the first segment, if Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese pop off and they beat the Olympic team, the friends like right there. At that point, you have no choice. You just watch your A1 Rookie of the Year candidates, contenders, beat the Olympic team, where you had people calling left and right for, at the very least, to put Caitlin Clark on the squad. If they beat them, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the catalyst, you have no choice at this point. You have to strike, because if you don't strike after that, when can you do it? So it's like, they're like their teams are playing better, but they're still in a position, like standing wise, to where it's like they both can miss the playoffs. So like they're kind of in a position, even though they've been playing better. So I think if you're gonna I don't know. I feel that's why I said I think the WNBA are kind of like they're kind of in limbo here with these two, because now you got them in a situation where they're about to go against your A squad that's about to go to the Olympics and represent our country to potentially bring another gold medal home. That's why I'll say they are kind of fumbling it. But I understand the wait, because I think they're waiting on the real right moment to really just put the flag in the ground on these two and just go for it. And I feel like, in a way, the WNBA, they're kind of hoping they both go off in this game. because I feel like I just feel like there's some minds that have some sense about this, and they're just like, okay, if Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, they go off and they win this game, I'm telling you, we need commercials in the clip. We need everything in the clip ready to unload. We about to put these girls out there. I think at that point you have no choice, because if you don't after that, then it's like us as fans.
We know you.
It's hard. It's hard to really. It's hard to. We haven't been taking you serious before, and now you're about to get this influx and wave of really, really good college players, kind of like what you saw in the NBA, like late 70s, early 80s, when the Bird, the Magics, Mike, Barkley, Olajuwon. You just started seeing Ewing. I mean, you just started seeing the wave of just elite talent that was about to come in and really take the sport to the next level. And I think you're about to get that same kind of wave with the WNBA, because you got Paige Becker's about to come in. You got Juju Watkins about to come in. You got players that are about to follow suit that are on the same talent level as a Caitlin Clark and an Angel Reese. You're about to see them come in. So I feel like I don't know. It's like they're waiting on something, and I feel like they might finally have it here. But it's like, will they pull? It's like, part of me wants to trust them if they can pull the trigger, but then the other part of me is like, oh my gosh, it's like, what are y'all gonna do if option A or option B happens? It's like, what do you do?
I agree with the playoff thing completely. Right now, though, they're in pretty decent shape. Indiana's 11-15. They're in the 7th seed. To the top 8 teams go, and Chicago's right behind them, 1 game, and then I think the next 2 teams they only got 7 and 6 wins. So it's not. They have a decent lead. So it's looking more and more likely that Indiana and Chicago are going to make the playoffs. But I will say I really agree with if Angel and Caitlin Clark go off in this game. I kind of think they need them to. Like this game needs to be competitive. This can't be a typical All-Star game. I think Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark need to show up. Like it needs to be like either close or they win. To get like a it'll bring out the more like toxic fans, but it also will have that conversation, and then you need to capitalize on that conversation when it comes to marketing. Why am I not seeing I mean, I know it's college football, but college football 25 just came out. Why am I not seeing the girls playing college football 25 and seeing a commercial where that or you remember those Call of Duty commercials with all the celebrities that used to go in, be in the Call of Duty?
Yes.
Why are we seeing something like that? Why, there's so many things here. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're waiting. I just feel like you have. Now, I will say at the beginning of the year, neither of them were playing that great. They were playing okay, but they were kind of playing – they weren't playing up to their potential. Now they're picking up steam. Both of them have been. Now it's like this is the Angel Reese and the Caitlin Clark, especially the Caitlin Clark that we expected to see. So now you really do need to amp up everything. I don't know, but maybe Caitlin Clark declined the 3-point contest because she wants to save everything for the All-Star game. I guess maybe. I don't know. I still think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
I still think that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hey, not to mention, man, hey, $50,000 goes to the winner of the skills challenge and the 3-point contest. So, I mean, I know that because a local company based right out of Columbus by the name of Aflac is doing that. So, hey, gotta do it. Hey, man, don't fumble the bag. My thing is this. Strike while the iron is hot. This is the hottest rookie race you have on your hands. Because next year, there's no more rookie of the year.
No.
Now you have to start talking about these young ladies in MVP races and all WNBA races.
Yep.
That's the thing. This is the rookie race. So the best thing to do is capitalize while they're rookies. And the way it's going, Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is going to make the playoffs. It's a question of whether the Chicago Sky are going to, especially after they just traded Mabry the other day to the Connecticut Sun. So strike while the iron is hot, man. Don't fumble the bag. And not because, like I said, there's already a lot of players that are already getting publicity. Like I said earlier, Asia Wilson had the cover of Cover Girl, and you had Cameron Brink on the cover of Flump magazine right before, she unfortunately had to go through her surgery. So, I mean, strike while that iron is hot. Because the thing is, there's no intrigue. There's not going to be a lot of, talking next year about Rookie of the Year. It's going to be now, hey, when is she going to start getting in the MVP race? And that's going to be very damn hard to do, considering that Sabrina Rescue and Asia Wilson are dominating the league like this. Now, in fairness, though, I will say this before we go on to the next segment, unless you guys have something to add. In fairness,
all I'm gonna say is this. I told people Sabrina Ionescu was that girl. I told people when she was coming out of Oregon, Sabrina Ionescu is that girl. So seeing her play the way she's been playing as of late, I love it. I'm a big Sabrina Ionescu fan. I love when she balls. Like that 3-point contest with Steph, where she almost beat him from the men's range. I told people then homegirl was the real deal. So I'm happy to see her balling.
Yeah. And guess who's right behind her? 3-pointers made. Caitlin Clark.
Must be Caitlin.
Yeah. And she's tied with Kelsey Plum as well, who's an all-star with the Las Vegas Aces and an Olympian, by the way. But speaking of the summer, man, you cannot talk about the summer without one event. We ain't talk about pool parties. We ain't talk about the all-white parties. We ain't talk about none of that. We talk about SummerSlam. All the way, dating all the way back from Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker on the Highway to Hell when AC/DC was flying, that was just had the perfect soundtrack to that SummerSlam in 1998, all the way up until now. SummerSlam has always been the biggest part of the summer. So, on the heels of the biggest part in the summer, SummerSlam, what is the biggest storyline in the WWE? BRF, let's hear it, bro.
For one, it's still the bloodline, but it's still the bloodline. People can talk about the Dom Rhea Liv storyline. That's a fire storyline. The Seth Drew Punk storyline. It's a fire storyline. It's still the bloodline. The bloodline is still the biggest story going on in the WWE. Has anybody seen Jacob Fatu? Has anybody been seeing what this man has been doing since he came into WWE? The man is one of the greatest talents I've ever seen in the wrestling ring. I mean, just straight up. And the crazy thing about Jacob Fatu is that man is in the best shape of his career, and just came into WWE, and it's just absolutely just taking it by storm. Like the man is gonna turn himself into a babyface, and he's not even supposed to be a babyface. He's supposed to be the enforcer for the bloodline, and it's like it all boils down to. They have made Roman Reigns the biggest babyface in the company, and he's not even there. He's not even there. And Roman Reigns is like the biggest babyface in the company. And you got Cody Rhodes there doing mad crazy work as undisputed WWE champion. You got Damian Priest. What Triple H has been doing with Damian Priest has been really, really good. This slow burn babyface turn, which I think is pretty much going to culminate at SummerSlam. Because I feel like Dominic Mysterio is going to do something really, really stupid. I really do. But I think it's the bloodline. And I'm going to go into this theory here. This is if you want to call it a pipe bomb, if you want to call it a hot take, that's fine. You give me feedback on what I'm about to say. the Money in the Bank briefcase was handled correctly. They did the right thing. They did okay. I'm glad y'all agree with me. They did the right thing with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I tell you why. I've thought about this. Out of the 6 guys that wrestled in that match, outside of Drew, the other 5, Jey Uso, you trying to get your flirt on with Rhea Ripley. And then on top of that, incoming bloodline feud in T-3, 2, 1 is coming back. It's coming back at some point. You're about to head back up into there. He doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Nope,
okay, and he doesn't need it right now because and he's already had chances and he hasn't won. Okay, so and then you have LA Knight. LA Knight's probably about to take the United States Championship off of Logan Paul at SummerSlam. So you don't need to really put it on him. Andrade. He's not a believable Money in the Bank winner. Carmelo Hayes. He's not ready. Chad Gable. You have the Wyatt Six to worry about. You don't need the Money in the Bank briefcase right now. And then Drew McIntyre, that was people saying, oh no, well, they wasted the Money in the Bank briefcase. Drew and CM Punk, that rivalry, it didn't need it. Bro, if anything, by having Drew cash in, CM Punk cost it, you just added even more fire to their storyline, which I think is the second biggest storyline behind the Bloodline, is Seth and Drew and CM Punk. And notice how I threw Seth Rollins in there because I really hope they have a triple threat at SummerSlam and not no situation where it's Drew and Punk and Seth, the special guest referee, which is what has been talked about as well. No, that needs to be a triple threat because they all have beef with each other and all three, if you can't get along, let's get it on. And they all need to go. That match needs to be a triple threat. It would instantly be match of the night, particularly with the egos and the volatility and everything that's been going on with those three. I think the main thing right now, I think CM Punk is in the Performance Center right now and he's training and he's wrestling and he's trying to get cleared. So I think that's probably like the biggest thing, which is why there's a chance we might not see them at SummerSlam because CM Punk is trying to get cleared. But if he does get cleared, I want a triple threat. I want a triple threat. You need to find me an angle somewhere to get Seth Rollins involved in this and make this a triple threat. But the reason why I say I think the Bloodline storyline is still the biggest storyline going because I just love this. I love the storytelling. I'm telling you, whoever's been in charge of writing this storyline for the past 4 or 5 years deserve every award you can give them with all the turns and all the plot twists and everything that's been going on. And now this could be like the big climax of the entire thing because you're about to have Roman Reigns coming back as a babyface. And this could really set this thing. This could feed generations what they could do with Roman Reigns as Roman Reigns as a babyface. I am so excited to see what they could cook up with this because they could take this so many different ways. And I'm really excited to see where they're going to go. This is like probably the most, if I had to go out on a limb, this is probably the most anticipated SummerSlam since 2013 when Punk faced Brock among other matches. So I am hyped. I am really hyped for this SummerSlam and it's SummerSlam. So it's probably going to be a big card. But I see no reason why they can't get a good 7 to 8 match card for this and every match not hit. I really feel like they could blow the roof off of SummerSlam with a good 7 to 8 match card.
Flash.
So I don't think Roman comes back at SummerSlam. I know that's been the big rumor. I don't think he's back yet. It's not the time yet. It's not quite there. I actually think the Bloodline is not the best storyline going on right now, but I do want to talk about it. Jacob Fatu, part of the reason why they didn't bring him in right away is because they thought that he was going to overshadow Solo, and he is. And I think the reason why Solo, I don't think was ready to take that spot yet. So I feel like he's gotten better as the months have gone on since WrestleMania. But one, he's got to get rid of those stupid gloves. Get rid of the gloves. They look stupid. He wears these dumb gloves. I hate it. It drives me nuts every time I turn on SmackDown. Like, there's no reason to wear the gloves. You look silly. It's dumb. But Jacob Fatu is overshadowing him, and he looks like he should be the guy. I think the Bloodline storyline is kind of not in pause, but in purgatory, because the heavy hitters aren't there yet. The Rock's not there, and Roman's not there, and Cody's kind of like in and out depending on the week. He's in right now, but so I think it's kind of like in purgatory right now. But to me, the biggest storyline by far is I shouldn't say by far, because the Seth Punk Drew thing is right behind it. Is the Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Judgment Day love triangle, but something's going on with Finn, and on top of it, this Damian Priest ascension to babyface. There's so many moving parts to this, and everybody's like, oh, Rhea's gonna just smoke Liv. Liv's gonna keep that title, because either Dom is gonna do something stupid, or Finn Balor's gonna do something stupid. Not stupid, but finally show that he's been the one that's been canoodling with Liv Morgan the whole time. Which will somehow, and then that will further the storyline with him and Damian Priest. So, and my boy Ryan right now, who may or may not be listening, just hates Liv Morgan, just can't stand her. I'm sorry, but she is cooking in this role. She has taken this like tweener, babyface, heel, psycho femme fatale thing and just turned it, and she's gotten better every week on the mic. Every week, her social media stuff is on point. She even said she wasn't dating Bo Dallas anymore. Like, she's like going full, and whether that's true or not, but if it's just a work and she's just like doing it, saying it like just because of the storyline, like, she is all in, and she's been awesome. And I want this to continue. I don't want this to be a squash match. I pray it's not, because really, when it comes to the women's division, I don't see, Charlotte's injured. Alexa Bliss isn't back yet. And I think Alexa Bliss's thing is going to be with the Wyatt Six, but I don't think she's going to join, because right before Bray left TV and then she got pregnant, her storyline was trying to get away from Bray. So what I think is she's going to come back as the goddess, but Nikki Cross is going to start trying to bring her back into the fold, and that's going to be the feud. Is Nikki Cross is going to like, no, come home, be with us, and she's going to be pushing back against it. That's what I think her storyline is. I don't think she's going to be a full-fledged member of the Wyatt Six. I don't think they need her. Okay. But I think, again, Charlotte's injured, Asuka's injured, and right now I don't see any other of the females in the division right now that are ready to even sniff the heavyweight title at this point. Mm-hmm. So I think you keep this Liv and Dom, Rhea Ripley whole thing, keep it going. It's one of the best storylines you got. And as for the Seth Punk and Drew thing, yeah, they need it to be a triple threat. It's got to be. That was some of the best writing on not this past Raw, but the Raw before, when it was basically centered around actions have consequences.
Yes.
I made a TikTok video about it.
Yes, you did.
That was one of the most well-written Raws ever, where it was literally a centered theme. Like, it was like every segment had to deal with actions have consequences. And you could easily get Seth Rollins. You're right, Pierre. The only way that I could see the special guest referee thing working out is like Seth screws Punk. And then the actions have consequences. So it's returning the favor, which then, because ultimately we want what we were supposed to get at this last year's WrestleMania, which
Seth
was Punk and
Punk.
Yeah. So, which is the end goal, which is, I think, what they're going to go towards. So as much as I would want a triple threat match, I don't think they're going to do it because I don't think they want those two in the same ring together going against each other until farther down to WrestleMania. Like, they're going to slow burn that.
Yeah. You know what I think they're doing?
I think they're going to slow burn that too. I think they're going to slow burn that until WrestleMania 42. To be honest, until WrestleMania 41. To be honest with you.
Yep, that's what I agree with that too. That's what I think.
You know what this reminds me of, and I might be reaching a little bit, but you know I got my guys here. Y'all can correct me anytime y'all get ready. This triple threat reminds me of how Chris Benoit, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels were during their little stint right before WrestleMania, right during WrestleMania. And it started, everybody know the real beef was between Shawn Michaels and Triple H. But because Chris Benoit had won the Royal Rumble, it turned into a triple threat at least for like 2 months. Remember, they had the big match at WrestleMania, and then they had the big match at Backlash.
Right.
Then slowly after that, you start seeing slowly but surely they both was going after the title, but each one of them was interfering. You remember how when Triple H had Chris Benoit beat and a suspended Shawn Michaels came out and just super kicked the hell out of him and then had Chris Benoit pin him. Then the very next week that happened. And it all led up to that one big match at Bad Blood, one of the best Hell in a Cell matches you ever want to see. And that between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I think this is reminiscent of that. I think the real beef here is between Seth and Punk. And I think it may or may not end in a Hell in a Cell match. It's going to end in one of these big-time super matchups. I don't think it's going to end in a regular matchup where you have one fall to a finish. It has to end in dramatic fashion.
I would love to see. I'd want to see a Punk Seth Rollins Iron Man match.
Yes, that will be good.
Oh.
That would be great. But
that's what I would want to see as the rubber match. It would be an Iron Man match. I just because I think the to me the reason why the Brett and Shawn Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 is probably, in my opinion, it's my favorite match of all time. I'll put it that way. The story that those two told during that match was unbelievable, and I think Seth and Punk could tell a great story in an Iron Man match. It's real hard to pull off in a really good way because I feel like every other Iron Man match after Brett and Shawn was kind of like, but I feel like those two could do it.
Now I'll say this: one Iron Man match that doesn't get talked about enough. Partly because it was like a no DQ Iron Man match, but that Cena Orton one was really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Cena Orton one was really good. And I mean, like, yeah, it was and this was like peak Apex 2009, in my opinion, greatest heel in the history of pro wrestling. 09 bald Randy Orton, just Black Air Force energy to the highest level. Just Black Air Force energy to the highest level. I have never in my life seen a guy be on that kind of demon time for that long extended period of time than 2009 heel Orton. And to end the Orton-Cena rivalry at the time the way they did, it was the only way you could have ended it. No DQ Iron Man match. I mean, you just throw everything you can at John Cena for Randy Orton to win and for John Cena to still pull it off. I mean, I didn't think, because, and the thing is like a lot of it's like you've seen it so many times, so it's like you've seen it so many times. Like, how are they supposed to top it? And that match it's underrated. It's slept on. Chat, if you haven't seen that Iron Man match, I believe it was Bragging Rights 09. If you haven't seen that Iron Man match, y'all need to check it out. It's slept on. Y'all need to watch it.
All right.
All right,
Hey.
check that out.
Hey, no problem there. But it's now time for a pipe bomb. The curveball here and there, man. I got to do one. I'm not going to let us have a good show. Never. We're never going to have a smooth show. Never. So I got to ask y'all, man, and this is about SummerSlam. What's the best storyline that you've ever seen in SummerSlam's history? And I'm going to go first on this one. The best story that I ever heard, that I ever seen told, was the story of Stone Cold and The Undertaker. Highway to Hell, SummerSlam 1998. Because it was so many things in the mix during that time. Remember, during that year at WrestleMania, it was The Undertaker versus Kane. Then as we moved along, people started thinking that The Undertaker and Kane were in cahoots at a certain point. Then come to find out they were. Because remember, during that same SummerSlam, Mankind had to defend the tag team titles, but Kane never showed. And when he did show, he hit Mankind in the face with a sledgehammer. So the thing is, that was probably some of the best storytelling in the world. And guess what? They had the perfect song with AC/DC, Highway to Hell. And not only was, like I said, it built up to because back then Vince McMahon was trying to do everything he could to get that title off the waist of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was trying his damnedest. And what better curveball to throw than the conscience and the cornerstone of the WWE of any era, that being The Undertaker. And who was determined to win the WWE title once again, was determined. And I think that was one of the best storylines ever told. Now, granted, the match itself didn't have the greatest payoff. It was a good match, but it wasn't the greatest payoff. But that story that it told leading up to SummerSlam, Highway to Hell, that was some of the best storytelling that I've ever seen. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go. It could have been. See, I'm bringing up the bloodline again, but Roman Reigns and Jey Uso disappointed me so much last year with their match. That match could have been so much better because the build up, I mean, just from like Jay finally getting past the 3-4 years of just mental torment that Roman Reigns has put him through, to finally be in a situation where he could have took him down. But that match just disappointed me so much.
Is it disappointing? I was there live. Was it disappointing because Jay didn't win?
No, honestly, it wouldn't. No, honestly, it wouldn't have mattered because honestly, I don't think nobody was picking Jay to win that match, even though he did build himself up to be a credible, viable threat to take Roman down. I think what disappointed me was tribal combat. Nobody interferes, and then immediately we see Solo, and I'm like, okay, great, you just killed it. You killed it right there. From having Solo interfere when it's supposed to be a tribal combat match, no interference. It's supposed to be 1-on-1. Let you go at it. As soon as Solo interferes, you kill it all for me. You kill it all.
I that was the thing. That was the problem with the lead up to WrestleMania last year. Was like every Roman Reigns title match, like it was just interference by Solo, and it was like except for. One of the matches he interfered, but he the finish was cleaner. I would have been. I agree in the aspect of disappointing in the is. I think Roman should have won, but I think it should have been clean, and it should have been like.
Yeah.
It should have been kind of like Rocky and Apollo Creed and the end of Rocky 2. I feel like it's like they're both getting like, like to me is one of the best endings to a movie of all time. But like they're both trying to get up from being knocked down, and Rocky just barely beats him to his feet, and Apollo collapses. Like that should have been the ending to that match where Roman just basically outlasts him, like by the skin of his teeth. Where Jay is like not quite ready to take that mantle or take the title. It would have given more credence to the main event Jey Uso nickname if he almost beats it, if it would have been a clean match. It just wasn't, which is really disappointing. My favorite and best storyline to me is the Shawn Michaels return match with Triple H.
That's mine. That's mine too, for the record. But since Flash brought it up, I'm gonna let him talk about it. But that's mine too.
That's mine. Shawn is my favorite of all time. So like I'm biased a little bit, but at the same time, to me, he's my GOAT. So, and I don't think it's the way that him and Tripp were able to tell that story. And like when Tripp's in the ring, and then you see Shawn all bloodied, and his face was smashed into the limo window, and that lead up, and Tripp's trying to find out who did it, and then also we have that awesome promo where Shawn all of a sudden shows up on the screen all bandaged up and bloody, and we know who did it, Hunter, and Shawn shows the video, and Hunter just does this, and it's just like, I'm trying to show you that you can't handle it anymore. You're not the heartbreak. Like, you just go, and the promos to that lead up, and then the match was awesome. Oh, the match was, and the ending, it didn't end with a pedigree. It didn't end with a super kick. It ended with Shawn like just reversing the pedigree and flipping over and pinning him. And go back and listen to the end of that match. Jerry Lawler sounds like a girl at the end of that match. Like, it's so cool. And the way that match ended, and it's one of the best calls by Ross and Lawler. Just go back and listen to it. Which, by the way, I think besides that, besides the fact that the story was so good, it was just like Shawn was gone for 4 years. And we all thought, this was going to be a one-off. And then the dude ended up wrestling for 8-9 more years and gave us some of the best matches we've ever seen after that. So, like,
yes,
not just that storyline, but what that storyline gave us going forward. And Shawn, like, putting on the second half of his career and everything that came after that. I mean, the absolute bangers he had with Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and Tripp Moore and Cena and Undertaker. Like, it just, I mean, that awesome match on Raw with Shelton Benjamin and that awesome fit, like, just that match and that storyline just created so much after it. That's my favorite. I love that story. I go back, not to mention that song. Go listen to the theme song for 2002. Ooh, if you're like in a mood,
every time you think that I'm done,
yeah,
I'll come back stronger.
Yes.
And every time you think that you got me, I will fight you and I'll put you in the ground. I know that song, and I feel like a straight up nerd today. You know why? Because that's on my playlist.
Yeah,
that's on my playlist.
And it makes me just want to, like, all right, we're gonna go. Like, all right,
hey, that was my song when I did the speed bag back when I was an amateur. So yeah,
thank you. That's the in my opinion, in the top 3 to 5 of best theme songs for a storyline. And like the finish of that storyline, that song is awesome. Like, it gets me just gets me hyped. Like I just want to go fight everybody. So yeah, that whole thing. Go back and watch that promo with that song, and it's yeah.
And how much poetic justice was it? The cornerstones of the Monday Night Wars. And guess who booked that match on television?
I'm gonna finish it.
Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff said officially your match would never happen.
Yeah.
It was just poetic justice. It was just like Eric Bischoff saying that this is a no disqualification match, non-sanctioned match. It's just poetic justice, man. I know. I mean, it was just poetic justice, man. Anybody got anything else to add, man, before we go into the next and the last segment, bro?
I definitely, the Shawn Michaels Triple H 02 SummerSlam, like I think that's my favorite storyline going into a SummerSlam. That's my favorite one. But I'm trying to think back. I brought up SummerSlam 2013 with CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. I really enjoyed that feud, and I was kind of like worried that match wouldn't, deliver because of like, I don't know, I guess it was like the way CM Punk and Brock Lesnar, the way they contrasted with each other. But it was like that's what almost made the match perfect, and how it turned out to be as good as it was. But I want to throw something. I want to throw one out there for honorable mention. One of my favorite SummerSlams of all time is 2000. I'm sorry, tag team wrestling then was at like a high that we really haven't really seen since. That tables, ladders, and chairs match from SummerSlam 2000 just makes me smile every time I see it. The Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. Every time I see that match makes me smile. And the way they were able to build that up and like that storyline into what that match became was just so well done. And it's an underrated feud storyline. It was just bravo to the people who put that together and made that storyline what it was. I mean, I can't speak enough about how they built that match, how that match lived up to every expectation. That's one of my favorite SummerSlam matches, period.
Tables and ladders and chairs. Oh my.
God bless Mick Foley.
That's very true.
Tables and ladders and chairs. Oh my. Nice.
I have two more. So that are, one's a personal favorite, and then the other one is just so, and one's another Shawn Michaels one because it's just Shawn. Shawn's just everywhere. But one of my other ones is Brett and Owen. And
the cage match.
And the cage match and at the 1994 SummerSlam, it was the culmination of their feud. And their
y'all go ahead. I'll be right back.
Okay. It was the culmination of their feud, and it's one, to me, in my opinion, one of the last great old school steel cage matches. Because not long after that, they started to go to the chain link fence, and it's still that old school like steel fence or whatever. It's such a great match. Owen's amazing in it. Brett's amazing in it. Probably one of the best storylines in general is the Brett and Owen storyline. So that, and then the other one would be Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan.
The oversell match.
The oversell match. But if you go back and watch that like what's so cool about that lead up to that and that storyline is Shawn goes full heel, like old school heel on Hogan. And some of the promos that he cut on Hogan, whew, they were good.
Well, on camera, brother, I'm a great guy. When the camera goes off,
and
brother.
Yeah, and Shawn can sit here and say all he wants that he did the oversell on purpose as an homage to like the old school. Nah, that was Shawn being
a dick.
Yep.
That's just I hate to say that on national television, but that's just how it is.
No, it was Shawn. Shawn was being a dick. Shawn can say all he wants that he was just doing an old school oversell match. No, No, the reason why is that you knew that you and Hogan were supposed to have 3 matches, and then Hogan did the classic, like, that ain't gonna work, brother, and was like, I'm gonna do my 1 match and I'm gonna go over. And so Sean being Sean, and to his credit, like, Hogan deserved it after all the crap that he's pulled over his career, doing that last second like garbage of like, I ain't gonna work with me, brother. Like, I Hogan deserved. I remember watching that live, and with my buddy Ryan, and we were just like this is like 1996, 1997 Sean of just like, I'm gonna put my Christianity aside for a second here, and I'm not gonna be the bigger man. And I'm just gonna basically ruin this match, even though it was still a good match in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my other 2. Those are my other two favorites.
One last one before we leave and go into the last segment, man. The Rock and Booker T, SummerSlam 2001.
That's a good one.
Because the thing is, we knew Booker T from I was a huge Booker T fan. I will still beat the drum for them in the Road for Harlem Heat and the Road Warriors being one of the best 2 of the best tag teams of all time. That's how good they were. And Booker T being such the underrated champion that he was, him being introduced to a WWE audience and some of the promos and the comical promos that him and The Rock did, you know, that was a lot of great storytelling, you know. That was great, man. I hate that he had to lose in the fashion that he did, leading up to an invasion. But DR, if you laugh because you know.
What's 2 plus 2? Thomas Jefferson, sucker. Oh my gosh.
How do you feel, Booker T? How do you think I feel, sucker? But yeah, that match introduced Booker T to the audience, man. And man, look, I mean, I hate the way they buried him on the mic as far as commentary was concerned, you know, saying that he's never been in an environment like a SummerSlam when Booker had been in a lot of great matches. But, you know, that was the whole rite of passage. Everybody who was WCW got buried during that time because they want to see how far you can handle it. I mean, and Booker even said it himself, everybody got buried. It was just
Did you see that interview with him? Did you see that interview with him? And it was like he was on Chris Van Vliet's, whatever. He was talking about that. I thought it was great insight to that, where he was saying like, yeah, we all got buried, but it was more of like, hey, you're gonna have a chance to draw money, but can you do it?
Yeah.
This isn't like just handed out cash like WCW. You're gonna have an opportunity, and let's see if and Booker T said he's like, I made a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, and you could argue semantics on whether he should have beaten Tripp or whoever, and which he probably should have. But
he should have.
He should have. But, you know, like he still became a world champion at some point. Like, and he made a ton of money, and it was unfortunate. But I mean, at the same time, like, can you imagine if like let's say WCW won the Monday Night Wars, they would have buried all the WWE guys if they would have came over too. That's how
they would have buried them. But I mean, it's easy to say that, but I mean, I'm just gonna be real. It was very, very easy for them to bury the WCW guys because a lot of those guys had lost their luster at a certain point. Goldberg had lost his luster at a certain point. You have to think about the Steiners. They had lost their luster at a certain point. You have to think about Lex Luger. He had lost his luster at a certain point. And all of the new guys that they had recently, that Vince Russo put over, they just recently, they were established stars, but they wasn't established to the point where they was just the superstar that you needed. So it was easy to kind of bury those guys at a certain point. I don't think it would have been very damn hard. Excuse my language, BR, if I don't know if your daughter's around. It would have been very damn hard for Eric Bischoff to try to bury a Stone Cold Steve Austin. It would have been very damn hard for them to try to bury a Rock. It would have been very, very hard for them to try to bury an Undertaker. It would have been very, very hard for them to try to bury even a Godfather at that point in time. Those guys were so over the top, it was crazy. I think the real reason why a lot of those guys got buried, they were not the huge names that we were used to seeing in WWE.
The initial invasion, yes, you're right. Like that. But I mean, when Goldberg came, he had his run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was that was a guy that was impossible to bury. The NWO was impossible to bury. Scott Steiner, his first couple months was impossible to bury. So the thing is, when you think about that, if the shoe would have been on the other foot, it would have been very damn hard for Hulk Hogan to say, I'm going to go over on Stone Cold Steve Austin every single night. You realize how damn dumb that sounds? It doesn't sound good. So guess what?
Well, I'm also assuming that like WCW had brains, and then like Hogan's not pulling his typical Hogan stuff. You know,
in my humble opinion, it would have been very, very hard to try to bury it. It would have been very super hard to try for if WCW would have won the Monday Night Wars, it would have been super hard. It would have been super hard for them to bury it.
It would have been, but Bischoff is just as petty as the rest of them. Like I think Bischoff at first would have tried to bury most of them.
He probably would have tried to bury Vince publicly. I don't think he could. Like I said, I think some people are impossible to bury. Like I said, a Goldberg, when he came to WWE, was impossible to bury. When you saw the NWO, they were impossible to bury. And people don't understand this. Even when Kevin Nash was out for almost a year with a quadricep injury, when he came back, he was impossible to bury. He was still over as hell, in the great words of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it would have been kind of impossible for Eric Bischoff to bury those guys.
I think one point y'all are also leaving out as well. I mean, you're definitely bringing up the fact that they would have been impossible to bury. But let's just say the WCW did win the Monday Night Wars, and then let's say a lot of those WWE guys had to go on air on a WCW show. The mic skills that they would have been bringing over with them, like Stone Cold, Rock, Mick Foley, Triple H, even a Vince McMahon who's a really good mic worker. The mic skills that they would have brought over, WCW let those guys touch the mic one time, and then it's what do you do after that? it's like I feel like one of the quickest ways to really cut your teeth and kind of put yourself over is the art of the microphone and what you do on the microphone. And the mic skills that the WWF guys would have been bringing over to WCW trounced mostly anything WCW had in terms of mic skills. So then it's like, what do you do after that?
That's true.
What do you do?
Because you look at the one guy, like when Jericho came over to the WWF,
right?
When Jericho came over, they couldn't bury him because he was so great on the mic.
Right.
Yeah, some guys are impossible to bury. And before we move on, because I have to go to this question in the chat from the great PSP. I got to go to this question. You have to ask yourself this: would they for the sake of storyline, I would say, would WCW have been better off winning the damn war? Because the payoff that we probably would have had, as far as a lot of the players that WWE had, if they would have came over to WCW and had a super clash, I think the payoff would have been a hell of a lot better. Because, say what you want about Eric Bischoff, he all about these ducats. Because the first week, I think he would have put Stone Cold against Goldberg. I think he would have put The Rock versus Stone Cold. I think he would. It would have been a lot of interesting things that would have happened, but I think he would have made a lot of things happen. But for the sake of storylines, sometimes I wonder would it have been better if WCW had won? That way, the guys come over and be merged.
Well,
and that way everything is automatically. Guess what? I already know these guys are already here. I ain't got no choice but to book these guys against each other in storylines.
I think you're right. It would have been better in the aspect of
short term,
because the reason why we didn't get all the top stars in WCW over in the original Invasion was because they had all those guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
So why would you give up a guarantee? They just waited out their contracts, and that's when they started to file in. So in that aspect, we would have gotten a more star-studded Invasion.
Mm-hmm. But in the long term, I don't think it would have been a wrestling. I think wrestling would have been wrestling would have died as we knew it. I think in 2003, and we would have no longer had those companies. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think because we're also kind of going off the assumption that WCW, like if they won the Monday Night Wars, were an actual competent wrestling organization. Like
that's exactly.
That's the problem. So it's like we have to manufacture our own heads that WCW, that you could put Hogan in his place and say, no, Hogan, you are not doing what's best for you. We are doing what's best for WCW. No, we're not wasting Goldberg and Hogan on a Monday night on a Nitro. We're going to save it up for a Starrcade or a Bash at the Beach or whatever. We're not wasting Luger beating Hogan on a Nitro. We're going to save it for a paper. Like all these little dumb things, we're not going to have David Arquette win the heavyweight title.
Oh, that is so funny right about now because that's exactly what PSP.
Oh crap! I didn't even see his comment.
That's exactly not the PSP, man. Look, when I say great minds think alike, man, that's the first comment I was gonna make. Hey, PSP, hey man, the New Jersey Genius. Make sure if you're watching this show right now, you tune in tomorrow because you think this show's good, man. PSP, he got a treat for y'all. And I ain't talking about Magic neither. He got a treat for y'all tomorrow. But I digress, man. Look, that's the same thing he said. Problem is, Bischoff and Vince Russo could have prevented a lot of those situations. And like I said, like you was just saying, assuming that, they were competent. But, you got to ask yourself, are they competent? And, like he said, you can't ignore Vince Russo. Ask Jim Cornette, which y'all know my favorite thing about Jim Cornette. He's very colorful, so to speak. But I gotta ask this last question right before we go into the last segment. Courtesy of PSP, the New Jersey Genius. Has Goldberg gotten a bad rap because of the incident with him and Bret Hart? Look.
I got Flash. Go.
Grab this publicity while we can. Flash, go ahead, man.
Sorry. I just watched. By the way, thank you, PSP, for bringing it because I literally just watched. So I follow Stevie Richards on YouTube and his YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you haven't, go and subscribe to his channel because he breaks down like stuff in the rings, like backstage politics. Like he is awesome. But he literally just did a couple of days, and I just watched a video on. Basically, he does a whole video on is Goldberg literally reckless in the ring, and he is. And he goes step for step on why he breaks down like a lot of the moments between Bret and Goldberg in that match. And not only, and on top of it goes over his experiences with him as well. That Goldberg, nice guy in general, but when it came to the ring was very stiff, not trained enough. And he said when he was pretty good about everything else, but when it came into anything like football movish, like the spears or shoulder tackles, like he was going to hurt. So I don't think Goldberg's gotten a bad rap because I think because Bret has given a bad rap to himself by constantly, and excuse my French, bitching about it. Like, I think if Brett would have just let it go after a while, Goldberg's reputation would have taken more of a hit. But with Brett constantly, he just always brings it up all the time. Like, even after Goldberg apologized publicly and Brett accepted it, and then all of a sudden Brett just kind of a couple months later just kept going with it. I don't think he gets a bad rap. I think I've seen Bill Goldberg actually say in interviews that he was pushed too fast in some aspects. He was lightning in a bottle, and they didn't like, there's that awful match between him and Regal on Nitro. It's so bad. And I think he doesn't get the bad rap completely because it's not entirely his fault.
Yeah.
I recommend going to watch that. Go watch that video with Stevie Richards. Please do. It gives you way more insight into Goldberg's faults in the ring and why. It's just so good on how, and it really teaches you on the little things too, on how wrestlers protect each other in the ring. So I highly recommend watch that. Sorry, I just saw that video like 2 days ago, so it's really good. Anyway, sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all good, man. Hey, that's what we're here for. You got a good point. Bring it up. Number one, shout out to PSP. Number one. Number two, this is my hot take. Well, one of them, because I watched Who Killed WCW, and when he pushes Brett to the ropes, he says, "Watch for the kick." Then he does it. It's kind of like you telling me we're playing archery, and you're saying, "Hey, champ, watch for the arrow. It's coming over your right shoulder," and I don't pay attention. Whose fault is that? Is that mine or yours?
That you're right.
That's the thing.
You're right.
Because when you're calling it in the ring like that, and he says, "Watch for the kick," and Goldberg had done that kick before.
Yes,
that's the thing. He done that kick before. He did that against Ming, Haku. He did that against a lot. He did it against the Giant. He did it against a lot of guys.
And you're right. And I thought that way too. But go, like I said, go and watch. I'll send you the link in a little bit. But go watch how, because Brett does put his hand up to protect his face, but the way Stevie Richards like breaks it down, it's still more Bill's screw up.
Force.
Yes, and then there's a spot in there where Brett's move where he would do the figure four around the ring post.
Yeah.
So there's this part of that. Goldberg is supposed to hold Brett's leg to protect Brett from smashing his head. Goldberg doesn't do it. Like Stevie Richards like breaks down a lot of spots in that match where Goldberg fails. It's a really good, it's a really good breakdown.
Yeah.
So you're right, where Goldberg did tell him watch for the kick, and Brett does go to protect himself, but it's still Bill's
brute force. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the way that he described it. Again, I'm botching this like completely. Stevie Richards breaks this down way better than I do. Like, and I'll send you it in the chat like in a minute here. I'll send it in our group.
And PSP shout out to Jersey. He brought another point as well. Brett was a hell of a technician. He knew what he was getting each when he got in the ring, knowing Goldberg had no spirit. So he was absolutely right. And Bischoff brought up a great point where the senior position who makes certain decisions was Bret Hart. But here's my hot take. Here's my pipe bomb for tonight. Isn't it safe to say that Goldberg was the Attitude / Monday Night Wars era of the Ultimate Warrior?
Oh, yeah.
guys who blew up very, very fast, very, very quickly. The difference between Goldberg and the Ultimate Warrior, I will say, God rest the Ultimate Warrior soul, by the way, is according to everyone, as far as the locker room was concerned, Goldberg had a better attitude as far as, dealing with people.
Yes.
As far as stuff like that. Ultimate Warrior didn't necessarily have that personality cachet with a lot of the guys in the locker room. But it's safe to say that he was the Ultimate Warrior of the Attitude / Monday Night Wars. There are guys who shot up within a year, got put over in a year, and it did not necessarily last long because they were not the best technicians and they didn't have a lot of experience in the ring. They had the look, they had the mic skills, and they had the it factor. They just did not have the wrestling ability that it took to carry you on pay-per-views, and it took to carry you for a long period of time. They had to just wreck shop on every damn body that was in their path because you just could not tell a story without you being an ass-kicking machine. And I think he is the Ultimate Warrior of the Attitude Era. And that's no matter to Bill Goldberg. I like the Ultimate Warrior as well as Bill Goldberg. But when you think about the meteoric rise that they both have, and then the meteoric fall that they had, not to mention a lot of the bad things that people had to say about how unsafe they were in the ring, about how lackluster their ring skills were. And although Goldberg is more remembered for being that machine, he is pretty much, people talk about how unsafe he was in the ring. And I think the thing that exposed him was not the Bret Hart match. I think the thing that exposed him was when he pissed off the Undertaker in Saudi Arabia. I think that's what kind of people really start looking at, like, blank, you really ain't that damn safe in the ring. Because how can you screw up that bad with the Undertaker? Granted, it was a bad match on both parties. I'm not going to put it all on Bill Goldberg.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for you to damn near break Taker's neck was kind of crazy. So, I mean,
but you got to remember, Taker almost hurts him too with a tombstone.
Tombstone.
And like I've seen Taker do an interview about that match, and he takes a lot of fault in that match too. Like, it's not all put on Bill. And look, and I'm not even I'm not a huge Bill Goldberg guy. I was back in the day, of course, when I was, in high school and a kid. Like, the dude had an awesome entrance, like one of the most badass entrances ever. Dude's like snorting fireworks smoke like he's a dragon, like, and snorting it out, and like, yeah, like this is, I mean, yeah, you had the police walk him out and everything, and but I think that Brett's tried to make his reputation bad. And I think every wrestling fan knows that. And Stevie Richards kind of goes into it in that video of, like, you're not going to get a technical match out of Bill Goldberg. That's not what he was booked as. That's not what his character was. He was like the Ultimate Warrior, like what you said, Champ. He's like the Ultimate Warrior. It's going to be a 5 to 10 minute match at most. Like, and it's going to be a quick, just, and that's it. So to book him any other way would be silly. So it's like, how do you work around that? But yeah, I think his reputation is well deserved, but I also think, like, it's somewhat overblown in a there's always kind of a middle ground a little bit when it comes to that.
I think it's ironic too that you bring up that, as far as like Goldberg being the Attitude Era's Ultimate Warrior. It's ironic when both of the biggest wins of their career both came off of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Because the Ultimate Warrior unified the Intercontinental and the World Wrestling Federation Championships that won WrestleMania off of Hogan, and then Goldberg had that Nitro win against Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's almost pretty ironic. You brought that up.
Yeah, champ.
That is ironic. That is definitely getting clipped. That is definitely getting clipped. All right, look, we ain't got a lot of time left, man. Look, it's a Thursday night, but real quick. Shout out to PSP one more time, by the way, for bringing up a good talking point. Hell of a job. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to his podcast. Almost to 8,000 subscribers. Congratulations to one of the all-time greats in PSP, man. The guy that put all of us on, man. So, hey, man, gotta pay homage to the people that put you on, man. And by the way, y'all had a hell of a show last Friday, man. I wish I would have been there, but they was working my behind to death at work. So, hey, shout out to PSP and the Big Three. Y'all had a hell of a show. Shout out to Casual as well. Shout out to the entire chat. You know, Brandon from the block, Trent, all you guys, man. Harrison, all of you guys. Maria, who's covering the WNBA All-Star game, by the way, all of you guys. But real quick, guys, we're going to drop this down to like a 5-minute segment. Who is the greatest MLB team of all time? Y'all know what I'm going to say because I'm not going to even go. So I want to know y'all's opinion. Flash, we'll start with you. Greatest MLB team of all time.
This hurts to say this. Because I hate this franchise. But it's either the 27 or 98 Yankees.
Damn.
That doesn't make me feel good. Like, I can kind of taste the throw up in the back of my mouth when I say that.
Yeah.
But
they beat up for that World Series, then.
But it's hard not to pick one of those teams. You could maybe argue a different team, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder if you're going to take them, so I won't say it. But I mean that 98 New York Yankees team is just, I mean, they're just loaded. I mean, it's, you know, they won 114 games. They had David Cone, Hideki Irabu, Jeff Nelson, Andy Pettit, Mariano Rivera, David Wells, Mike Stanton. I mean, you know,
the captain himself.
The captain, yeah, prime Jeter, prime Posada, Chuck Knobloch at second base, Tino Martinez, Scott Brocious, Luis Soho.
Peak Bernie Williams.
Yeah, Bernie Williams. Darryl Strawberry, Sean Spencer, Tim Raines, Paul O'Neill, Chad Curtis. Like, their designated hitter was Chili Davis. It was just a loaded pitching staff and a loaded lineup.
Doc and Darryl had both of them. Doc and Darryl was on that team. So yeah. That was Dwight Gooden, by the way. A great hell of a comeback story.
Yes.
One of the greatest comeback stories in the history of MLB.
Yes.
For him to come out and pitch the way he did in that World Series on the heels of his father passing away during the game, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It's just I can't. It's hard for me not to pick that team. And then you got to go. And then, like I said, the other team was the 27 Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know.
That debate routine?
Yeah. Gehrig and Ruth. I mean,
you can almost stop right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll look it up right now. 1927 Yankees lineup. I mean, it was called Murderer's Row for a reason. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just. Yeah, it was let's see. Babe Ruth. So the catcher was Pat Collins. So they said Lou Gehrig, Tony Lazzari, Joe Dugan, Babe Ruth, Earl Combs. It just was, you know.
Wally Pipp was on that.
Yeah, Wally Pipp was on that team. I mean, just between Gehrig and Ruth. Gehrig hit 47 home runs that year. Ruth hit 60. Gehrig had 173 RBIs.
Damn.
That's according to this page. And Ruth had 165.
Damn.
Gehrig his batting average was 373, and Babe Ruth was 356. Yeah. So like I that's it. Again, I don't feel that good about saying it, but it's just the truth. So I leave the floor to you guys. Make me feel better.
All right. So before I throw my team out there, I want to shout out some honorable mentions. I'm going to throw an honorable mention out to the 27 Yankees because they're not my number one team of all time. I'm going to throw an honorable mention to the 76 Reds. I'm going to throw one out to who I know Champ thinks is the greatest team of all time. Honorable mention to the 1995 Atlanta Braves. 1906 Cubs, 1919 Black Sox. A team that doesn't get talked about as greatest teams. I didn't realize they were this dominant. The 2016 Chicago Cubs. Honorable mention to them. They were 103, 58, and 1. And then, of course, they had the 3-1 comeback against the Cleveland Indians in the World Series. But shout out to the 2016 Cubs. And it's also narrative with them, too, because, I mean, they broke the 108-year curse of winning chips. So, I mean, of course, shout out to them. But for me, it's not even close. It's the 1998 New York Yankees, and it's not even close. And I tell you why. I did research it. I got some stats. This is how good that New York Yankees squad was. They had 10 guys hit double-digit homers. They were second in the American League in hitting. They were first in the American League in pitching. If you total up their record between the regular season and the postseason, they went 125 and 50.
Yeah.
That's 114 and 48 in the regular season. That's 11 and 2 in the playoffs. And their 2 losses were to Cleveland and the ALCS because Cleveland had the only squad that could really stand toe-to-toe with them, but they were just too good. And just when you have a relative unknown like a Shane Spencer come out of nowhere and belt 10 bombs, that tells you the kind of depth you had on your squad. So for me, it's the 98. So for me, it's the 1998 Yankees, and I'm looking at it like, oh yeah, and they also had a plus 309 run differential. They scored 965 runs as an offense. They only allowed 656. I mean, that was just peak, and that was like the peak of the late 90s run that they had. The 3 and 4 years, Champ, they took 2 from us. So I mean, they took 2 from us. So I mean, we gotta throw it out there, because I mean, there's like, there's even great teams that didn't win chips that you could talk about. You could talk about the 2022 Dodgers that just happened that went 111 and 51. You could talk about the 2001 Mariners that went 116 and 46. You could talk like I brought up the 1906 Cubs. They won 116 games in a 152 game regular season. Like there are so many great teams that you could talk about. I want to shout out the only reason why I want to shout out the 95 Braves in this is because I feel like you could make a case 95 Maddox is the greatest pitching season in the history of the sport.
Yeah.
19 and 2, 1.63 ERA. And I think he had like 10 complete games that year. Dude was just sick. Dude was just insane that year. He was just on another level, which is why I put the 95 Braves up there. Because, I mean, I think they were 6th in the National League in hitting, and they were like first in pitching. They were first in about like at least 4 or 5 different pitching categories. I mean, Maddox had 19 wins, Glavine had 16, Smoltz had 12. I mean, what do you do? What do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that? But for me, it's the 98 Yankees. When you're looking at wire to wire, just sheer dominance, Nobody comes close to the 98 Yankees for me.
Okay. I got one pipe bomb for you, Mr. BRF. One pipe bomb before we go.
I want to hear it in case I can kind of rebuttal. So go for it.
One pipe bomb. 95 Braves versus the 2021 Braves. Who you picking?
I'm picking the 95 Braves, bro.
Oh, that's easy.
I'm picking the 95 Braves, bro. It's not even close. You pick the 95 Braves because because here's the thing. The 2021 Braves caught that lightning in the bottle at the right time, got hot, and you just couldn't deal with them for the rest of the year. That 95 Braves staff is shutting them down. And the best of 7, 2021 might get swept.
Okay.
They might get swept.
That it's actually a real, because I was a huge Braves fan growing up when I was a kid in the 90s. And it's literally a shame that those early 90s Braves teams didn't win more than one. It's actually shocking.
It is. It's shocking it's shocking. It is.
You go back and look how good those teams were even before Maddox even got there. It's
not to mention
I'm still baffled
team.
that because if they don't win that one in 95, they're baseball's version of the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
95, 96, and 99 Braves beat 2021.
Okay. Hey, no argument there. I just want to get a second opinion. But hey, I have to say this, man. It's always cool. It's always a pleasure and an honor to share the stage with both of you guys. But unfortunately, I wish we had more time, but we do not. So on that note, man, I have to say shout out to Columbus, Georgia. Thank y'all for always backing the show. We appreciate y'all, man. Hey, this weekend is going to be a hell of a weekend, man. Shout out to downtown. Shout out to E-Dub, Southside, Uptown, all of y'all. And shout out to the chat as well. Maria, Brandon from the block, Trent, everyone. I mean, Kenny, Hot Take Kenny, PSP, every last one of you guys. Thank you guys. And Leaf as well. Don't forget about Leaf. So shout out to all of you guys. But on that note, man, tell the people where to follow you. BRF, we starts with you.
BRF Sports is the TikTok handle. Always has been, always will be. I got the link tree. My link tree is in the bio. Big Sugar 1122. You can hit my IG. You hit my Twitter /X, my Facebook. Hit them all. I'm always grateful for the support. I'm always grateful to be able to get on this show with Flash and Champ to do what we do best and what we enjoy to do, which is talk sports, cutting up, having fun, just enjoying this platform that we've been blessed to have. And we're going to continue to just share this with everybody. And it's like I always say, a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. And we're going to keep continuing to do this to the best of our ability. Shout out to everyone for the support. We love each and every one of y'all, and we're going to keep this going.
Flash.
You can check me out at Flash22, all underscores and Flash on TikTok and Instagram. I've been starting to put out a little bit more content. You can also see me on my other channel, Dad by the Radbod, that I'm doing. It's more of a fitness journey channel. But another thing I want to mention too is that we're introducing a new segment next week. We are going to be reviewing a sports movie. So we're all going to we haven't decided on the movie yet, but we are all going to watch it and then just do a review of a sports movie. We're kind of in the dog days of summer until football season. So it's a segment that we all came up with to kind of do. So we hope you enjoy it, but tune in next week to hear that.
Hey, y'all know who I am. I'm the undisputed world champ, straight out of Columbus, Georgia. Y'all know what it is, man. So, hey, I always say this, man. Be safe, be careful, have fun, but do everything in moderation. Remember, the judge don't come back to Tuesday. Don't act the fool this weekend. And on that note, man, we are out. Appreciate you. Shout out to PSP for bringing us up another topic, man. Make sure you tune in to the show tomorrow. But on that note, we are out. I want you to have a good night and a peaceful night. Peace is the key.